The best bedtime story ever. Shoo, it's time to get cozy. The night sky has pulled its soft blanket of stars over the world, and the moon is smiling down, ready to tell a story. Not just any story, but the best bedtime story ever. Somewhere beyond the sleepy clouds and the yawning trees lies a magical meadow called Dreamvale, where every story ever told comes to rest when the world goes quiet. It's a place filled with gentle talking animals, floating lanterns, and little sparks of starlight that whisper sweet dreams into your ears. Tonight, Dreamvale is wide awake, waiting just for you. You'll meet Lumi the firefly, who carries the glow of 1,000 wishes. Ollie the bear, who loves baking moonberry pies, and Mira the cat, who can sing the stars to sleep. Together, they'll take you on a cozy, twinkling adventure through whispering woods, over sleepy rivers, and into clouds that hum lullabies. So snuggle under your blanket, take a deep, slow breath, and let your imagination drift. The air is calm, the stars are shimmering, and somewhere, just beyond your dreams, the best bedtime story ever is about to begin. Crescent Moon ZZZ. The sleepy meadow of Dreamvale. The night had settled softly over the valley, covering the rolling hills in a blanket of silvery mist. Tiny lights blinked in the distance, not stars, but fireflies, gently floating through the warm evening air. In the center of this peaceful valley was a place called Dreamvale Meadow, where the grass shimmered like starlight and the wind whispered the sweetest lullabies. Lumi the firefly hovered above a dandelion puff, her tiny light flickering like a heartbeat. She loved the quiet hum of the meadow, the way the flowers seemed to sigh when the wind passed, and the crickets played their sleepy songs. Tonight, though, something felt special. The moon was brighter than usual, round and golden like a lantern hung just for her. Lumi took a deep, glowing breath. "It feels like a story night," she whispered to herself. Just then, a gentle voice drifted across the meadow, slow, deep, and full of warmth. "Every night is a story night here, little one," said Ollie the bear, lumbering through the tall grass with a basket of steaming moonberry pies. Lumi giggled. "Then maybe tonight's story will be the best one ever." And far above them, the stars seemed to twinkle in agreement. Sparkles. Ollie's moonberry pies. The scent of warm moonberries filled the meadow, wrapping the night in a sweet, sleepy aroma. Ollie the bear set down his basket beside a circle of soft moss, where Lumi's golden glow lit the air like a tiny lantern. "Fresh from the oven," Ollie said proudly, lifting a pie that shimmered faintly with silver sugar. "The secret is to bake them just long enough for the berries to hum." "The berries hum?" Lumi giggled, her wings fluttering in delight. "Oh yes," Ollie nodded wisely. "Moonberries sing when they're perfectly ripe. You just have to listen closely." He leaned closer to the pie, closing his eyes. Sure enough, there came a soft like a sleepy tune from deep inside. Lumi clapped her little hands in wonder. The two friends shared a pie under the glowing moon. It was warm, sweet, and comforting, like a hug that tasted of dreams. As they ate, the stars above began to twinkle in a gentle rhythm, as though the sky itself was humming along with the moonberries. Somewhere beyond the meadow, a soft melody floated on the wind, the faintest notes of a lullaby calling them onward. Lumi looked toward the sound and whispered, "Do you hear that?" Ollie smiled. "I do. I think it's the next chapter of our story waiting for us." The lullaby in the wind. The melody drifted through Dreamvale like a soft thread of silver. It wound around the moonlit trees, danced across the sleepy meadow, and tickled the tips of the glowing flowers. Lumi fluttered higher, her golden light tracing little circles in the cool air. "It's coming from the whispering woods," she said, her voice full of curiosity. Ollie brushed the crumbs from his fur and listened closely. The song was slow and tender, like the world was being sung to sleep. "It sounds like someone singing just for us," he murmured. Together, they followed the music through a path of twinkling mushrooms and dew-covered grass. The air grew softer with every step, the sound of rain beginning to patter gently on the leaves, though there wasn't a single cloud in sight. It was dream rain, made only for those who believed. Finally, they reached a small clearing where a cat sat on a stone, her tail curled neatly around her paws. Her fur shimmered like twilight, and her voice was the one they had heard, calm, deep, and full of magic. "Hello there," said Lumi softly. "Are you the one singing to the stars?" The cat smiled, her eyes glowing like candlelight. "My name is Mira, and I sing to everything that needs rest, even wandering dreamers." Mira, the cat who sang to the stars. Myra's voice drifted through the clearing. Like a soft ribbon of starlight, wrapping the world in quiet comfort. Each note shimmered in the air before floating upward, where the stars seemed to glow a little brighter in reply. Lumi sat beside her on a smooth pebble, her wings folded neatly. "Your song feels like a dream," she whispered. "It makes my light flicker in my chest." Mira chuckled gently, her purr blending perfectly with the melody. "That's because every song in Dreamvale is made of feelings, joy, peace, kindness, and sleepiness. I just help them find their way." Ollie settled down under a nearby tree, his big paws tucked beneath him. "I haven't felt this relaxed since my last winter nap," he mumbled, half yawning. Mira smiled. "Then my work is already done. But there's one more song tonight, one that only appears when the moonlight clock strikes 12. "The moonlight clock?" Lumi asked, her eyes wide with curiosity. "It stands at the edge of the Silver River," Mira explained. "When its chime rings, all of Dreamvale drifts into its deepest dream." The wind carried her final note gently across the meadow, where it shimmered like falling snow. Lumi and Ollie exchanged sleepy smiles. "Then," said Lumi softly, "we must see the clock before we dream." The path to the Silver River. The three friends, Lumi, Ollie, and Mira, set off beneath a sky of drifting clouds shaped like soft pillows. The air smelled of rain and honey, and the grass beneath their feet glowed faintly as if sprinkled with moon dust. Mira padded gracefully ahead, her tail swaying like a metronome to the rhythm of the night. "The Silver River isn't far," she said in her soft, melodic voice. "But the path only appears to those who walk calmly, with peaceful hearts." Ollie chuckled. "Then we'll fit right in. We've had moonberry pie and lullabies, what could be calmer than that?" Lumi giggled, her light glowing a little brighter. "Maybe the stars are lighting our way." Indeed, tiny sparks began to appear along the path, little lights that blinked on and off like sleepy eyes. They followed these glimmers through a field of tall, whispering reeds that swayed to the rhythm of Myra's quiet hum. As they walked, the gentle sound of flowing water began to reach their ears, a soothing, endless hush, like the world's own breathing. The silver river awaited them just beyond the hill, its surface gleaming like liquid moonlight. When they reached the crest, they gasped softly. The river stretched across Dreamvale, glowing from within, and at its center stood the moonlight clock, tall, graceful, and shimmering with starlit gears. Lumi whispered, "It's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen." And in the calm of that moment, even the wind stopped to listen. The moonlight clock. The moonlight clock stood tall in the center of the glowing river, its silver hands gliding smoothly across a face made of crystal and light. Every tick shimmered like a raindrop, every talk rippled across the water, carrying calmness through the air. Lumi hovered above the riverbank, her little wings glowing like golden petals. "How can a clock be made of moonlight?" she asked in wonder. Mira smiled, her voice as soft as a breeze. "It was built by the first dreamers," she explained. "Each time it chimes, Dreamvale drifts deeper into rest, and new dreams are born." Ollie dipped his paw into the water. "It's warm," he said in surprise. "Like melted stars." The clock began to hum gently, a sound that vibrated deep within their hearts. The river around it began to glow brighter, swirling with soft silver light. Fireflies rose from the reeds, spinning lazily in the air, forming tiny glowing spirals. "It's almost midnight," whispered Mira. "When the clock chimes, every dream will open like a flower." Lumi's light flickered with excitement. "Then we should be here to see it." So they sat together at the edge of the silver river, a little firefly, a gentle bear, and a singing cat, watching the moonlight clock tick toward midnight. The stars seemed to hold their breath, waiting for the moment when time itself would fall asleep. When the clock chimed midnight, the air around the silver river grew still. Even the reeds stopped swaying, as if all of Dreamvale was waiting for something beautiful to begin. The moonlight clock gave one final, delicate tick, and then, with a sound softer than a sigh, it chimed. Ding! The note spread across the water, gentle and endless. The river rippled in shimmering rings, each wave carrying a pulse of light. Fireflies hovered above it, their tiny lights dancing in rhythm to the melody. Ding! Another chime rolled through the air, and the stars above seemed to tilt closer, glowing brighter. The ground beneath them sparkled, as if 1,000 dreams were awakening from their slumber. Lumi felt her light pulse in time with the chime. "It's like my heart is singing with it," she whispered. Mira closed her eyes, her voice barely a murmur. Every time the clock sings, the dreams of Dreamvale take flight. Ollie yawned, his deep voice rumbling softly. Then, the whole world must be dreaming right now. As the 12th and final chime echoed across the valley, everything grew hushed again. The air was full of sleepy magic, soft, glowing, and impossibly peaceful. Lumi blinked slowly, her wings drooping. "I think, it's making me sleepy." Mira smiled, curling her tail around them. That's what the moonlight clock does. It reminds the world to rest. And as the last echoes faded into the night, Dreamvale exhaled, and fell into the sweetest, gentlest sleep. The Dream Petals. As Dreamvale settled into its moonlit slumber, something extraordinary began to happen. From the glowing surface of the silver river, tiny petals began to drift upward, soft, luminous, and shaped like stars. They floated gently through the air, spinning slowly, leaving trails of silver sparkles wherever they passed. Lumi reached out her tiny hands as one petal drifted near. It landed delicately in her palms, warm as candlelight. "It's beautiful," she whispered. "What are they?" Mira watched with sleepy eyes. "They're dream petals," she said softly. "Every time the moonlight clock chimes, it releases them. Each petal carries a dream into the hearts of those who are ready to rest." Ollie smiled, watching them float away into the sky. "So somewhere out there, someone will dream of this meadow tonight?" Mira nodded. "Yes. Maybe a little one tucked beneath their blanket, listening to the rain. Maybe someone who needs peace." The petals rose higher, filling the sky until it looked like a garden of stars in bloom. Lumi twirled slowly, laughing quietly. "Then I'll make a wish on every dream that passes by." Ollie chuckled, his voice low and soothing. "And I'll wish that everyone feels as cozy as we do right now." The friends sat together beneath the raining petals of light, their eyelids growing heavier with every shimmer that drifted past. The night felt endless, calm, kind, and full of dreams waiting to be found. Wishes in the air. The sky above Dreamvale now shimmered like a velvet blanket sprinkled with thousands of glowing petals. They floated higher and higher, joining the constellations until it became hard to tell where the dreams ended and the stars began. Lumi fluttered onto Ollie's big, soft shoulder, her golden light flickering gently. "Do you think the stars ever get tired?" she asked drowsily. Ollie smiled, half asleep himself. "Maybe that's what the dream petals are for," he murmured. "To help even the stars rest a little." Mira purred beside them, her voice soft as silk. "Dreamvale shares its dreams with the universe," she said. "When someone closes their eyes to sleep, the petals find them, and tell them stories from here." Lumi yawned a tiny, glowing yawn. "Then maybe, someone far away is dreaming of us right now." "Maybe they are," Mira whispered. "Maybe a little dreamer is hearing your laughter in their sleep." The idea made Lumi's heart feel warm and tingly. She curled up against Ollie's fur, the scent of moonberries still lingering faintly in the air. The soft trickle of the silver river and the quiet ticking of the moonlight clock lulled her closer to sleep. Mira looked up at the sky and began to hum once more, a lullaby so tender it seemed to cradle the night itself. And one by one, the stars above began to hum along. The song of the stars. Mira's lullaby flowed into the night like a gentle stream of silver sound. Each note shimmered in the air, rising slowly until it reached the stars themselves. The stars, in turn, began to sing back, softly at first, then with a harmony so tender that it made the whole sky hum. Lumi stirred on Ollie's shoulder, her voice just a whisper. "They're singing with you, Mira." Mira smiled, her eyes half closed. The stars always remember the lullabies of Dreamvale. They echo them across the skies, so every sleeper beneath them can feel safe. Ollie leaned back against a smooth stone, his fur glowing faintly under the moonlight. "It's like the whole world is breathing in rhythm," he said quietly. "In and out, just like a bedtime sigh." The stars pulsed brighter, each one twinkling in perfect time with the steady beat of the moonlight clock. The silver river shimmered beneath them, its soft ripples carrying the melody onward, through valleys, over mountains, into the dreams of all who rested. Lumi's wings fluttered weakly as sleep pulled at her eyelids. "It feels like the stars are singing me to sleep." Myra's voice grew softer and softer, the final notes fading into a hum that wrapped around them like a blanket. "Then let them," she whispered. "That's what their song is for." And as the melody drifted into silence, the little firefly finally closed her eyes, her golden glow pulsing gently in time with the dreaming stars above. The gentle rain of dreams. As the stars finished their lullaby, the night grew even softer. Clouds drifted across the moon like slow waves, and a light, silvery rain began to fall, not cold or wet, but warm and shimmering, like drops of melted moonlight. Each droplet that touched the ground turned into a tiny bubble of light, floating lazily before bursting into a soft sigh of music. Dreamvale glowed with the rhythm of this magical rain, plink, 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 a lullaby made of sky and starlight. Lumi, now curled up in Ollie's paw, blinked sleepily at the glimmering rain. "It's raining dreams," she murmured. Ollie nodded, his deep voice a comforting rumble. "It happens once every full moon," he said. "The rain brings new stories to Dreamvale, ones that will be told for generations." Mira watched the droplets sparkle on her fur. "Every dream that falls tonight will find its way into someone's heart," she said softly. "Even yours." The three friends sat beneath the soft drizzle, listening to its musical rhythm. The air smelled of lavender and honey. The grass shimmered beneath their feet. Lumi smiled faintly as her eyes began to close. "If it's raining dreams," she whispered, "I think I've caught one already." Ollie chuckled quietly. "Hold on to it tight, little one." And as the rain continued to fall, slow, gentle, endless, Dreamvale sank deeper into peace. The firefly's dream. The rain of dreams continued to fall, slow and sparkling. Lumi rested in Ollie's warm paw, her golden light flickering softly as she drifted closer to sleep. Her wings relaxed, her glow dimmed to a quiet pulse, and before she knew it, she was dreaming. In her dream, the silver river stretched out forever, winding through clouds of soft starlight. Tiny dream petals floated alongside her, glowing like lanterns in the mist. She felt weightless, carried gently by the river's current. "Where am I?" she whispered, her voice echoing like a bell underwater. A faint voice answered, musical and kind. "You're in the river of rest, little firefly, the place where all dreams begin." Lumi turned and saw a great white heron gliding beside her, its wings wider than the moon. Its feathers shimmered with constellations. "Are you the keeper of dreams?" she asked. The heron smiled with wise, twinkling eyes. "I am the guide. I show dreamers the way to peace." He gestured with one wing toward the horizon, where mountains of light rose from the mist. Beyond them lies the Garden of Quiet. It's where your heart finds stillness. Lumi's chest glowed brighter. Can I go there? The heron nodded slowly. If you listen to your heart, and breathe with the stars, you're already halfway there. The river carried her onward, calm and endless. Above her, the stars shimmered like sleepy eyes, watching, smiling, and waiting. The Garden of Quiet. The river of rest carried Lumi gently through the mist until the air began to sparkle with a soft, golden glow. Ahead, she saw what looked like a floating meadow, filled with blossoms that shimmered like tiny stars. This was the Garden of Quiet, where every petal whispered peace, and every breeze carried a lullaby. She stepped onto the riverbank, her bare feet sinking into cool, velvety moss. The flowers here didn't just bloom, they breathed, opening and closing slowly, as though the garden itself was asleep. A soft hum filled the air, deep and steady like the heartbeat of the world. Lumi followed the sound to a tree of silver leaves, standing tall in the center of the garden. Beneath its branches sat a small owl with eyes like moons. "Welcome, little light," the owl said in a voice so calm it made her eyelids flutter. "You've drifted into the heart of stillness. Everything here feels quiet," Lumi whispered. The owl nodded. "That's because the garden listens. It hears every worry, every thought, and gently hushes them away." Lumi knelt beside a pool at the base of the tree. When she looked into its waters, she saw not her reflection, but the memories of her day, the laughter, the pie, the stars, the songs. The water rippled once, and they melted into light. The owl spoke again, softer now. "When your heart is quiet, little one, every moment becomes a dream." Lumi smiled, her glow pulsing gently. The peace here felt endless, like being wrapped in a blanket made of moonlight. Whispers of the silver tree. Lumi rested beneath the silver-leaved tree, feeling the soft hum of its roots beneath her. The gentle light of the garden glowed all around, as though the stars themselves had chosen to sleep here. She listened closely, and realized the tree was whispering. Its leaves rustled like quiet voices telling stories to the night. Each whisper carried a memory, a fragment of kindness or wonder. One leaf told the story of a lost cloud that learned to rain softly so flowers could bloom. Another spoke of a sleepy mountain that dreamed itself into a hill. Lumi smiled, closing her eyes as the silver tree continued its stories. The air was filled with the scent of honey and morning dew. The kind that makes your heart slow and your thoughts drift like feathers. Suddenly, one leaf drifted down, landing softly in her palm. It shimmered, glowing faintly. She held it close and felt warmth spread through her, a quiet comfort that made her wings relax completely. "You're part of the story now," whispered the owl from the branch above. Lumi looked up, her eyes half closed with peace. "Part of the story?" "Yes," said the owl. "Every dreamer who listens with an open heart becomes a note in the lullaby of the world." The leaf pulsed once, then dissolved into golden dust, rising slowly into the air until it vanished among the stars. Lumi watched it go, feeling light, content, and endlessly calm. The lullaby of the moon. The night had grown deeper, softer, and filled with silver light. Lumi sat beneath the great tree, her heart calm, her glow gentle as a candle flame. Then, from somewhere high above, a new sound began, a melody so tender it felt like moonlight turned into music. It was the lullaby of the moon, a song only dreamers could hear. The notes floated down like snowflakes, touching the leaves, the grass, the sleeping flowers. The owl closed his eyes, swaying gently to the rhythm. Lumi lifted her face toward the sky. The moon hung low and full, its pale light rippling like silk across the garden. "Is the moon singing?" she whispered. "Yes," said the owl softly. "She sings each night to remind the world to rest." Lumi listened closely. The song was slow and loving, each note saying, "You are safe. You are warm. You can let go now." Her wings twitched in time with the melody, and her little heart pulsed to its rhythm. The breeze carried the song beyond the garden, across rivers and forests, to every creature curling up for sleep. Even the stars seemed to blink more slowly, as if they, too, were lulled by the moon's gentle voice. When the last note faded, the night was perfectly still, not silent, but peaceful. Lumi's eyes drooped, and for the first time in her life, she felt truly at home within the quiet. The blanket of stars. As Lumi sat beneath the silver tree, the air around her began to shimmer. The last notes of the moon's lullaby lingered, wrapping the garden in a deep, gentle silence. Then, one by one, the stars above began to move. They drifted lower, gliding through the sky like glowing petals on an invisible breeze. Each one descended slowly, gathering above the garden of quiet until they formed a soft, glittering veil, a blanket of stars. Lumi watched, her eyes wide with wonder. The stars floated down and settled gently over the meadow, covering every flower, every blade of grass, every sleeping creature. The whole world seemed tucked in beneath their light. "It's the moon's gift," whispered the owl, his voice barely louder than a sigh. "She sends her stars to guard dreamers until dawn." Lumi reached up and caught a single star between her tiny hands. It was warm, pulsing like a living heartbeat. She pressed it to her chest, and instantly felt its calm spreading through her, a peace that reached every corner of her being. The garden glowed softly, breathing in unison with the stars. Everything was still. Even the river beyond the trees had stopped its murmur, listening to the hush of the night. Lumi yawned, a small, glowing yawn, and the owl smiled. "Rest now, little firefly," he murmured. "You've wandered far, and the stars will keep you safe." Her wings folded. Her light dimmed to a sleepy flicker. Above her, the stars blinked like drowsy eyes, guardians of dreams, weaving peace into the night. The keeper of dreams. The night deepened, soft and endless. Lumi rested beneath the blanket of stars, her glow faint and warm, like a candle behind frosted glass. She was half asleep when a soft breeze stirred the garden, not cold, not strong, just a whisper that carried something ancient and kind. From between the trees, a figure appeared. Tall, robed in twilight, their presence shimmered like moonlight caught in water. Their eyes held galaxies, and their voice, when they spoke, was as calm as a heartbeat. "Little one," said the figure, "you've wandered far into the dream realm." Lumi blinked sleepily. "Who are you?" "I am the keeper of dreams," they replied, kneeling beside her. "I guide the sleepers and mend the edges of their rest. I make sure every dream finds its way home." The owl bowed his head respectfully, his feathers brushing the moss. Lumi's glow brightened a little. "Did you make the stars come down?" she asked. The keeper smiled. "The stars obey their own gentle rhythm, but yes, I asked them to watch over you tonight." They reached out, and from their palm drifted a dusting of silver sand. It fell onto the ground, forming slow, glowing ripples that spread in circles. Wherever the sand touched, the flowers sighed and leaned closer together, as if cuddling in sleep. "Dreams," the keeper said softly, "are more than stories. They're tiny sparks that remind the world to rest, to heal, to breathe." Lumi listened, her heart slowing to the calm rhythm of the night. "And what happens when the dream ends?" she whispered. The keeper smiled again. "Then the dreamer wakes, but the peace remains." They stood, their robe flowing like a river of stars, and faded into the mist, leaving only their soft words behind. "Sleep gently, little light. The night is watching, and all is well." Lumi closed her eyes, holding those words close. The stars above pulsed once, like a promise. The river of reflections. When Lumi awoke again, the garden was still bathed in starlight. The silver tree shimmered softly beside her, and the owl rested quietly on its branch. But beyond the edge of the meadow, she noticed something new, a faint, glimmering path leading deeper into the dream world. Curious, Lumi followed it. Her tiny feet made no sound on the moss as she drifted toward the glow. The air was cool and scented with lavender and rain. Soon, she came to a small river, smoother than glass, glowing with light from beneath. It was not water that flowed there, but reflections. Faces, skies, and moments shimmered across the surface, memories of laughter, kindness, and quiet joy. Lumi knelt beside it, mesmerized. "What is this place?" she whispered. The owl's soft voice carried on the breeze. "The river of reflections," he said. "It shows dreamers the gentle things they forget while awake." Lumi leaned closer, watching her own reflection ripple into 1,000 points of light. She saw her journey, the pie shop, the stars, the garden of quiet, all blending together in soft, glowing waves. She touched the water, and instead of feeling wet, she felt warmth, the kind that comes from being remembered, from knowing you are part of something kind and endless. A faint hum rose from the river, matching the rhythm of her breathing. The reflections began to swirl, slowly forming a spiral that seemed to open into the stars above. Lumi smiled softly. "It feels like the whole sky is breathing with me," she whispered. "It is," said the owl gently. "The dream world moves with the heart of every sleeper. Tonight, it breathes peace, because of you." Lumi's glow shimmered brighter for a moment, and the river answered with a soft pulse of light, two gentle souls, sharing the same calm heartbeat. The lanterns of memory. Lumi followed the river of reflections until the current began to slow, and the glowing water widened into a small, moonlit lake. The air here was perfectly still, and above the surface floated dozens of tiny golden lanterns, each one swaying gently as though dreaming. She stepped closer, her light reflecting in the water. The owl landed on a branch nearby, watching over her with kind, sleepy eyes. "What are these lanterns?" Lumi asked softly. "They are memories," the owl replied. "Each one holds a moment of peace someone wished to keep forever." Lumi watched as one of the lanterns drifted near. Inside it, she saw a memory, a child hugging their mother goodnight. Another lantern showed an old man smiling as snowflakes landed on his hand. Another revealed two foxes curled together in the warmth of their den. The lanterns glowed brighter as they floated past, their light rippling across the lake like threads of gold. Lumi felt something stir in her, a warmth deeper than any she'd known before. "Can I make one too?" she asked. The owl nodded slowly. "You already have, little firefly. Every kind thought, every gentle moment you've shared tonight, they've all become light." She looked down, and to her surprise, a new lantern was forming right beside her. It shimmered with soft amber light, showing scenes from her own journey: the cozy bakery, the moon's lullaby, the silver tree, and the river of rest. "It's beautiful," she whispered. "It's your peace made visible," the owl said. "It will float here forever, guiding anyone who needs calm." Lumi watched as her lantern lifted gently, joining the others in the still night air. Together, they drifted slowly across the lake, like stars returning home. The whole scene glowed golden and hushed, a moment so serene it felt like time itself had fallen asleep. The bridge of moonbeams. The golden lanterns floated silently across the lake, their reflections painting ripples of light that shimmered like silk. Lumi stood watching, her heart full of calm. Then, far on the other side of the water, she noticed something forming, faint and silvery, stretching out from the mist. It was a bridge made of moonbeams. Soft strands of light twisted and wove themselves together until they formed a glowing path that arched gently over the lake. It looked delicate as a dream, yet strong enough to hold a whisper. Lumi gasped quietly. "It's beautiful." The owl fluttered to her side, his wings glowing in the reflection. "It appears only to those whose hearts are at peace," he murmured. "It leads to the next part of your journey." She took her first step onto the bridge. The surface felt cool and smooth, humming softly under her tiny feet. Every step sent ripples of silver light spiraling outward, like calm waves across a starlit sea. Halfway across, Lumi paused and looked down. The lake below mirrored the sky, an endless stretch of constellations and glowing lanterns drifting like memories. She felt so small, yet so connected, to the moon, to the stars, to every gentle heartbeat in the world. "Where does it lead?" she whispered. The owl's voice was faint now, floating on the wind. "To the quiet beyond the dream. The place where even light rests." Lumi smiled, her wings glowing brighter. "Then that's where I'll go." And she continued across the bridge, her soft steps echoing like lullabies between the stars. The night wrapped around her like a blanket, safe, endless, and filled with peace. The quiet beyond the dream. Lumi walked softly along the bridge of moonbeams, her light glowing brighter with every step. The stars above twinkled in slow, drowsy rhythms, and the air around her felt like warm velvet, hushed, soft, endless. When she reached the other side, she stepped into a place unlike any she had seen before. There were no trees, no river, no sound, only a vast, silver mist that seemed to hum with calm. The ground beneath her feet glowed faintly, like the surface of a sleeping cloud. She took a deep breath. The air here was cool, but comforting, filled with the scent of rain and something she couldn't quite name, something ancient and kind. "Where am I?" she whispered. The owl landed gently beside her, his feathers shining faintly in the mist. "You've entered the quiet beyond the dream," he said softly. "It's where the heart rests after wandering through wonder." Lumi tilted her head. "Is it the end?" The owl smiled, his eyes half-lidded with peace. "Not the end, the pause. Every dream needs stillness, just as every song needs silence." Lumi looked around. The mist shimmered faintly, forming shapes, maybe memories, maybe stars. Everything moved slowly, like the breath of the universe itself. She felt no fear, no hurry. Only peace. Pure, glowing peace. In the distance, she thought she heard the faint rhythm of the moon's lullaby again, echoing softly through the mist. The owl stretched his wings and whispered, "Here, time falls asleep. You can rest as long as you need." Lumi smiled faintly, her light flickering like a heartbeat. She curled into the mist, and for a long, quiet moment, the entire dream held its breath, then exhaled, slow and calm. The Song of Stillness. The mist around Lumi swayed gently, as if breathing with her. Every inhale seemed to draw in the quiet of the stars, and every exhale sent ripples of silver light across the air. She had never known silence could sing, but here, it did. It began faintly, a vibration in the air, soft as a sigh. Then the sound grew warmer, wrapping itself around her like a whispering blanket. It was not a song made of words, but of feelings, comfort, safety, peace. "The Song of Stillness," murmured the owl, his voice drifting like smoke. "It only plays for those who have truly learned to rest." Lumi sat with her knees tucked to her chest, eyes half closed. She let the sound wash through her, feeling it dissolve every thought, every little worry, until she was nothing but quiet light. She imagined the world below, children dreaming in their beds, oceans resting between tides, stars humming softly above sleeping forests. Everything, everywhere, connected by the same slow, steady rhythm. Even the moon seemed to listen. As the song deepened, the mist around her shimmered, forming tiny silver motes that floated upward like glowing dust. Each one carried the sound of her breath, the beat of her heart, and the memory of her peace. "Where will they go?" Lumi asked softly. The owl smiled, eyes heavy with sleep. "They'll drift into the waking world, to soothe whoever needs calm tonight." Lumi's glow dimmed, slow and content. She watched her light join the others, rising higher, until the mist became a sky full of glowing dreams. The song faded into a soft hum, like the heartbeat of the universe itself. And Lumi whispered, just before sleep found her again, I hope they rest well tonight." The owl nodded. "Because of you, they will." The Dreammaker's candle. The mist glowed faintly as Lumi drifted deeper into rest, her light now a quiet golden spark among many. The owl stayed beside her, calm and watchful, his feathers reflecting the distant shimmer of unseen stars. Then, out of the stillness, another light appeared, small, warm, and flickering like a candle carried by invisible hands. It glided toward them, cutting a soft golden path through the silver haze. Lumi blinked, her sleepy eyes following the glow. "Who's there?" she whispered. A gentle voice answered, smooth as rain on glass. "A friend of dreams." Out of the mist stepped a tall, robed figure, cloaked in deep blue, holding a glowing lantern shaped like a heart. It was the Dreammaker, the one who kindled every light of imagination in the sleeping world. They smiled down at Lumi. "You've wandered far, little firefly. And along the way, you've gathered more light than you know." "I was just following the stars," Lumi said softly. The Dreammaker knelt and held out their lantern. "Every spark you left behind, every moment of kindness, every breath of calm, has become a dream for someone else tonight. Would you like to see?" Lumi nodded. The Dreammaker lifted the lantern higher, and within it she saw tiny scenes, a child smiling in sleep, an old cat curled up beside a window, a forest bathed in moonlight. Each one glowed with a color she recognized, her own light, spread across the world. The Dreammaker's voice was soft as wind through feathers. "Dreams are never lost, little one. They travel, they heal, they shine." Lumi's chest glowed brighter. "Then I'll keep dreaming," she said with a sleepy smile. The Dreammaker's lantern flickered warmly. "That's all the world ever needs." As they vanished back into the mist, their candlelight lingered, a steady golden flame, keeping the quiet alive. The owl whispered gently, "Rest now, Lumi. Even the stars must sleep." And so she did, beneath a sky woven from dreams she had unknowingly created. The clock of clouds. When Lumi stirred again, she found herself in a new part of the dream world. The mist had cleared, revealing a gentle valley filled with floating clouds that shimmered like pearls. Above her rose a tall tower made entirely of mist and moonlight, its top hidden among drifting stars. From somewhere within the tower came a soft, rhythmic sound, tick-tock, tick-tock. Curious, Lumi fluttered closer. The sound wasn't harsh like a normal clock, it was soft, round, and almost sleepy. Inside the tower, she saw gears made of clouds turning slowly, each one glowing faintly as if lit from within. On a silver platform sat a huge clock face made of glass. Its hands moved gently, but not in a hurry, they flowed like rivers of light, shifting with the calm rhythm of a heartbeat. The owl perched beside her. "This," he said, "is the clock of clouds. It doesn't count time like the waking world does. It measures rest." "Rest?" Lumi whispered. "Yes," the owl continued. "Every slow turn marks 1,000 dreams finding peace. Every gentle tick is a sigh from a heart learning to let go." Lumi watched the clock turn, mesmerized. With each movement, soft mist drifted out, settling across the dream world like calm rain. Wherever it touched, colors softened, sounds quieted, and sleepers sank deeper into peace. "It's beautiful," Lumi said, her voice nearly a breath. The owl nodded slowly. "The dreammaker wins it only once every night. After that, it moves on its own, powered by all the quiet in the world." Lumi rested her hand against the glass. The clock's hum matched the rhythm of her heart, slow and steady, like a lullaby without words. She felt herself drifting again, not away, but deeper into stillness, where even time bowed its head to sleep. The Valley of Eternal Rest. Beyond the clock of clouds, Lumi and the owl followed a silver breeze that carried the scent of lilac and rain. It led them into a vast open valley, quiet and endless, where the ground shimmered like pale moonstone and the air itself seemed to hum in contentment. "This is the Valley of Eternal Rest," whispered the owl. "The heart of all dreams, where even light pauses to breathe." Lumi looked around. The valley stretched forever, blanketed in mist and soft rolling hills. Everywhere she looked, tiny lights floated, millions of them, like sleeping fireflies drifting on invisible air. "What are they?" she asked softly. "They're the dreams that no longer need to wander," said the owl. "When a dream has fulfilled its purpose, when it's brought peace, kindness, or comfort, it rests here." Lumi smiled, her glow flickering gently. "So even dreams sleep too?" The owl nodded. "Everything does, eventually." They walked slowly through the valley, their steps silent. Every few moments, a light would blink brighter, then fade, as if exhaling one last sigh before sinking back into stillness. The stars above seemed to mirror them, glowing in the same peaceful rhythm. Lumi sat down on the soft, glowing ground and watched the valley breathe. The air here was perfectly balanced, neither warm nor cold, neither day nor night. It felt like the exact moment before falling asleep, that tender space where the world disappears, and all that remains is quiet. The owl rested beside her. "Do you hear it?" he murmured. "Hear what?" Lumi asked. "The silence," he said. "It's not empty. It's full, of every dream ever dreamed, sleeping together beneath the same sky." Lumi closed her eyes, listening. The silence wasn't nothing, it was everything. The bridge of whispering. Stars. As Lumi and the wise owl rested in the Valley of Eternal Rest, a soft humming began to rise from the mist. At first, it sounded like wine through reeds, faint and delicate, but soon, it turned into a shimmering melody that filled the valley. Lumi lifted her head, glowing faintly. "What's that sound?" The owl tilted his golden eyes toward the horizon. "It's the bridge of whispering stars," he said. "When dreams have found their peace, they travel across that bridge to become part of the night sky." From the fog, a thin path began to form, woven from threads of light, soft as moonbeams and gently swaying as though floating on invisible waves. Lumi stepped closer, her reflection glimmering beneath her feet. The bridge didn't feel solid, yet it held her weight like a promise. Each step made a faint chime, like the ringing of tiny glass bells. The sound was slow, rhythmic, and impossibly calming. As she walked, Lumi noticed that the lights beneath her, the resting dreams, began to stir. They rose one by one, drifting toward the bridge. Each light brushed past her gently, like a sigh of gratitude. The owl walked beside her, wings tucked, eyes half closed. "They're saying goodbye," he said softly. "Their time in the dream world is done, but their warmth stays behind for others." Lumi smiled. "That's beautiful," she whispered. The stars above shimmered brighter now, as if greeting their returning kin. Every dream that crossed the bridge dissolved into silver dust and reappeared in the heavens, shining eternally. By the time Lumi reached the center of the bridge, she felt lighter, almost weightless. The music, the stars, and the quiet hum of the valley all blended together until she could no longer tell where she ended and the world began. The owl looked at her gently. "You see, Lumi," he said, "even in endings, there is peace. Dreams never vanish, they only change form." Lumi closed her eyes. For the first time, she truly understood. The stars weren't faraway lights. They were sleeping dreams, watching over the world. Beyond the bridge. When Lumi reached the far end of the bridge of whispering stars, the soft mist began to lift, revealing a meadow bathed in pale blue light. It wasn't like any place she had ever seen. The grass shimmered as though made of moonlight, and flowers glowed softly, their petals opening and closing with every breath of the night. The owl landed beside her, his wings stirring a gentle breeze. "This," he said, "is the meadow of remembered dreams. It's where the oldest dreams come to rest, the ones too kind and too peaceful to ever fade away." Lumi knelt down and touched one of the glowing flowers. Inside, she saw a faint image, a child laughing beneath falling stars, holding a paper lantern. The vision flickered and dissolved into soft light. "They're memories," Lumi whispered. "Yes," said the owl. "Dreams that brought joy leave their reflections here." All around them, the air was filled with a quiet, steady rhythm, not music exactly, but something deeper. It was the sound of hearts resting, the calm of souls finding peace. Lumi walked farther into the meadow, trailing her hand through the glowing blades of light. Everywhere she touched, warmth followed, gentle, healing, endless. And then she saw it. At the center of the meadow stood a crystal fountain, its water rising and falling like slow breathing. The droplets floated upward, forming constellations in midair. Lumi approached, her wings trembling slightly from awe. "What is this place really?" she asked. The owl smiled. "It's the heart of dreaming," he said. "All peaceful thoughts, all kind wishes, all quiet hopes, they come here to rest and renew the world's calm." Lumi watched as a droplet landed on her palm. It shimmered, warm and soft, before soaking into her skin. She felt peace flow through her veins, deeper than sleep, lighter than air. She looked up at the owl and smiled. "Then maybe," she said softly, "I was meant to find this place all along." The owl nodded slowly. "Yes, Lumi. Because every gentle soul has a home in the dream world. And yours has always been here." The wind carried his words away like music. The stars brightened. The world fell into stillness once more. The secret of the fountain. The crystal fountain shimmered like liquid moonlight, its gentle ripples sending tiny circles of silver across the glowing pool. Lumi stood before it, transfixed. Each drop that rose into the air caught the light of the stars and carried it upward, as though the sky and the fountain were breathing together. "The water feels alive," she whispered. The owl nodded, perching on a low branch beside her. "It is. This fountain holds the first dream, the dream that began all others." Lumi's eyes widened. "The first dream?" "Yes," the owl replied softly. "Before there were nights, before there was even time, there was a single moment of stillness, a dream so peaceful it gave birth to all. Dreaming. That moment is what flows here." She reached out carefully, dipping her fingers into the fountain. The water was warm and soft, not wet, but comforting, like touching pure light. Images began to shimmer around her, children asleep under blankets, animals resting under trees, waves folding gently on quiet shores. "There, everyone's dreams," Lumi breathed. The owl smiled. "Exactly. Every dream is connected to this fountain. When someone sleeps peacefully, the fountain glows brighter. When the world feels troubled, it grows dim." Lumi felt her heart swell with tenderness. "So this fountain needs care, love." "It does," the owl said. "And that's why you were brought here. To remind the world to dream softly." The fountain suddenly pulsed, and a faint glow surrounded Lumi's wings. She felt something gentle and immense stir within her, not power, but serenity. Her feathers sparkled faintly, each one reflecting the fountain's light. "The fountain knows you," the owl said, his voice hushed. "It remembers you from before time, a guardian of calm, born from its glow." Lumi closed her eyes, feeling the truth settle deep within. She wasn't just a wanderer, she was part of the dream itself, a keeper of peace. The water swirled in slow spirals, whispering soft lullabies in a language older than words. And as Lumi listened, she realized she could understand them, each note a message of love, of rest, of endless quiet. She smiled and whispered back, "I'm here. I'll keep the peace." The fountain glowed brighter, and above, the stars shimmered as if sighing in relief, sharing the fountain's light. The night around Lumi deepened into velvet blue. The fountain pulsed gently, as though breathing in rhythm with her heart. Each drop that rose shimmered brighter than before, small lanterns of calm lifting into the sky. Lumi turned to the owl, her voice barely more than a whisper. "If I am the keeper of peace, how do I share it with the world?" The owl blinked slowly, his golden eyes gleaming in the soft light. "You don't force peace," he said. "You become it. When you carry calm within you, even storms quiet down to listen." Lumi looked into the fountain once more. The reflections there had changed. She saw distant homes with softly glowing windows, mothers humming to sleepy children, waves rocking against moonlit shores, and forests breathing slowly in the night. The light of the fountain began to swirl around her, winding through her feathers like silver ribbons. Each breath she took released a faint shimmer into the air, spreading like drifting pollen, tiny sparks of peace floating into the world beyond the meadow. "They'll find those who need them most," said the owl gently. "Every spark carries a bit of stillness, for tired hearts, restless minds, or lonely dreamers. Lumi closed her eyes and took a long, slow breath. With every exhale, more light flowed outward, soft as sighs. Across mountains and rivers, through cities and sleeping fields, the silver glow drifted, touching one window at a time, wrapping the world in comfort. Somewhere, a child stopped turning in their sleep and smiled. Somewhere else, a worried soul's heartbeat slowed. And high above, the stars seemed to hum along, their light pulsing in rhythm with the fountain's glow. When Lumi opened her eyes again, the meadow looked softer, quieter, more at rest. The owl tilted his head, smiling. You see? The light was never yours alone. It was waiting for someone to set it free. Lumi smiled, feeling a warmth spread through her chest, not pride, but gentle contentment. Then I'll keep sending it, she said softly. As long as there are dreams. The owl nodded. And there always will be. A hush fell over the meadow. The fountain's song slowed to a lullaby, the stars blinked lazily, and the breeze carried the whisper of gratitude from countless sleeping hearts. Lumi sat beside the fountain, her wings glowing faintly in the moonlight. The world was calm, truly calm. And for the first time, so was she. The return to the waking world. The night in the meadow of remembered dreams stretched endlessly, a perfect stillness wrapped in soft silver light. Lumi sat beside the glowing fountain, watching as the last threads of her light drifted into the distant horizon. The owl perched quietly beside her, his feathers catching the faint gleam of the stars. The world feels quieter now, Lumi murmured. It does, said the owl, his voice like a rustle of leaves. Because your light has reached it. She dipped her fingers into the fountain one last time. The warmth that met her skin was familiar, gentle, comforting, like being wrapped in a memory. When she looked into the shimmering surface, she saw something unexpected. There, on the other side, lay the waking world. The vision was soft and hazy, but she recognized it, the gentle dawn creeping through curtains, the sound of rain against rooftops, children sleeping with smiles on their faces, and candles burning low in quiet homes. Her heart swelled. The peace she had carried into the fountain had found its way into morning. It's time, isn't it? She asked. The owl nodded slowly. Every dream must return. But you will not leave it behind, you will take its calm with you. Lumi stood, her wings unfolding, silver and soft as mist. The fountain's glow brightened, sending a single beam of light upward that surrounded her in a circle of quiet warmth. The owl bowed his head. When you awaken, you may forget this place for a while. But deep inside, you will remember every gentle sound, every calm breath. The world will hear it through you. Lumi smiled faintly, feeling sleep itself wrap around her, not heavy, not pulling her away, but guiding her gently toward the edge of dawn. She looked at the owl one last time. Thank you, she whispered. He blinked slowly. Thank you, dreamer of peace. The beam of light grew stronger until it felt like sunlight breaking through fog. The meadow faded. The fountain's song softened into silence. The stars folded into brightness. And then, with one final breath, Lumi stepped forward, into the light. When she opened her eyes, morning had arrived. Raindrops clung to the window, and the scent of fresh earth drifted in. The world outside was still and calm. Somewhere deep inside, she could still feel the hum of the fountain, soft, steady, eternal. Morning whispers of the dream. The first light of dawn filtered gently through the window, painting soft golden shapes across Lumi's blanket. For a long while, she didn't move. Her eyes fluttered open slowly, her mind caught between sleep and waking, that tender, weightless moment when dreams still hum beneath the surface of thought. She could still feel it, the warmth of the fountain, the hush of the meadow, and the owl's calm voice echoing like a lullaby deep in her heart. It hadn't vanished, it had simply changed shape. Outside, the rain had slowed to a faint drizzle. Each drop tapped gently on the window pane, steady and rhythmic, like the heartbeat of the world. Lumi sat up, her hair falling softly over her shoulders. The room felt brighter somehow, even though the clouds still covered the sun. She smiled. "So this is how it feels to carry peace," she whispered. Every sound in the morning seemed alive with gentleness, the whisper of wind through trees, the creak of the floorboards beneath her feet, the faraway song of a waking bird. They were all tiny pieces of the same dream, still speaking in their quiet language. She moved to the window and pressed her palm against the cool glass. Outside, the world was slow, as if the rain itself wanted to linger, to savor the stillness she had brought back. For the first time, she noticed the way the light curved around the droplets, each one reflecting a miniature rainbow. The sight made her heart swell. Lumi closed her eyes, remembering what the owl had said, "Every calm you share helps the world remember how to rest." So she breathed, deeply, softly, and imagined that her breath carried the same gentle glow that had once risen from the fountain. Somewhere, she thought, someone else would feel it too, maybe in a quiet classroom, or in a garden after rain, or in the sleepy heart of a child still dreaming. Peace, she realized, didn't need wings. It only needed hearts willing to hold it. She smiled once more, and the morning light seemed to brighten in reply. The village of soft voices. The rain had stopped by the time Lumi stepped outside. The world glistened, rooftops shining with tiny droplets, cobblestones wet and smooth beneath her feet, and the air carrying the clean scent of renewal. Every sound felt softer, the chirping of birds, the rustling of leaves, even the distant hum of morning life. As she walked through the village, people greeted her with quiet smiles. It wasn't just a normal morning, it was slower, calmer, as though the whole world had taken a deep, peaceful breath. She passed the baker's shop, where warm bread filled the air with comfort. The baker, usually bustling, paused and smiled at her. "Good morning, Lumi," he said gently. Strangest thing, the dough rose perfectly today, like it knew exactly what it wanted to be. Lumi laughed softly. "Maybe it's because the morning's full of good dreams." He chuckled, shaking his head, though his eyes glowed with quiet joy. Further along, she saw children playing by the fountain. They spoke in hushed giggles, not out of fear but out of peace, as though they didn't want to break the magic in the air. Even the birds perched nearby sang slower, softer songs. Lumi stopped by the old woman who sold candles by the corner. Her hands trembled slightly as she lit one, the flame steady despite the gentle breeze. "Funny," the woman said, watching the glow, "the candles have been burning longer lately. Maybe the air's learned to rest." Lumi smiled knowingly. "Maybe the world just remembers how to be still." As the morning passed, Lumi began to notice something strange yet beautiful. Wherever she went, calm seemed to follow. The clinking of dishes grew quieter. The chatter of the market softened. Even the restless wind slowed as though listening. The peace she carried, the soft light from the dream world, was finding its way into everything. That evening, as the sun dipped behind the hills, the entire village seemed wrapped in a golden hush. Families gathered for supper, laughter drifted gently through open windows. Even the lanterns swayed more slowly, their flames steady and warm. Lumi sat by the small fountain in the center of the square, watching the stars appear one by one. She closed her eyes, feeling the stillness spread outward again, a quiet pulse of light, like the beat of a gentle heart. She whispered, "The dream continues, even when we wake." The night seemed to nod in agreement. The night of still candles. That night, the village glowed with a quiet golden light. Every window shimmered with a soft flame, every doorway flickered like a heartbeat. Lumi had asked the villagers to join her for something special, a simple ritual of peace. They gathered by the fountain in the square, wrapped in blankets, their faces warm with candlelight. The air was cool and still, not a single breeze stirred the flames. The stars above shimmered faintly, watching with kind curiosity. Lumi stood at the center, holding her own candle, a tiny flame that seemed to hum with the memory of the dream world. "When I was asleep," she began softly, "I found a place where calm was alive, where every breath was a song, and every heart was at rest. The fountain there whispered that peace only lasts when it's shared." Her voice was gentle, like rain falling on quiet soil. The children leaned closer, the elders smiled with closed eyes. "So tonight," she continued, "we'll keep that calm alive together. Each of us will light a candle, not just for ourselves, but for the whole world, for every tired heart, for every restless dream." She lifted her candle, and the villagers followed. One by one, the small flames joined together, painting the night in golden stillness. The light shimmered across the fountain's surface, turning it into a pool of stars. No one spoke. No one needed to. The silence itself was a kind of prayer, soft, whole, and beautiful. A little boy, no more than 6, tugged at Lumi's cloak. "Will the stars see our light?" he asked sleepily. Lumi smiled and knelt beside him. "They already have," she said. "And they'll shine it back when we dream." The boy yawned, resting his head on his mother's shoulder, the candle still flickering beside him. Around them, the villagers slowly began to hum, a low, gentle tune, wordless and warm. It carried through the square, through the trees, through the night itself. Lumi closed her eyes, breathing in the peace. She could feel it spreading, like soft ripples, reaching far beyond the village, touching other hearts, other dreams. And above them, the stars shimmered brighter, as though answering back. When the song faded, Lumi whispered, "Keep your candles near." Every night, Light them before you rest, not just to chase away darkness, but to remind yourself that peace lives within you." The villagers nodded, their eyes glowing with the reflection of calm flames. That night, when they finally drifted to sleep, every home in the village glowed faintly, not from fire, but from the warmth of shared serenity. And far above, the stars whispered softly in return. The message from the dream world. That night, after the candles had dimmed and the village had fallen into deep sleep, Lumi stayed by the fountain in the square. The moon hung low, silver and soft, painting the cobblestones with its sleepy glow. Everything was still, utterly still, except for the faint sound of water whispering against the stone. She closed her eyes, breathing in the cool night air. The world around her felt familiar, yet different, as though a thin veil separated waking life from the dreams she once knew. And then she heard it. A soft chime, faint, delicate, like a drop of crystal falling into silence. It echoed through her heart more than her ears. Lumi looked up. The fountain's surface rippled, glowing faintly with silver light. From its depths, a gentle shimmer rose, twisting into the air like mist. Slowly, it took the form of a glowing feather, white and luminous, pulsing with calm energy. It drifted toward her, swaying in the night breeze until it landed softly in her hands. Lumi gasped quietly. She recognized the light. It was the same glow that had surrounded the fountain of the first dream. The feather pulsed once, and a familiar voice echoed faintly in her mind, soft, serene, like the memory of a lullaby. "Peace travels through you, gentle one. The world remembers how to rest. You have carried the fountain's calm across the waking sky. Now, let your own heart rest too." Lumi's eyes filled with tears, not of sadness, but of the deep, wordless joy that only comes when everything feels right. The feather dissolved into tiny sparks, rising upward until they became one with the stars. For a moment, the entire sky glowed, not brighter, but softer, a tender hush that wrapped the village in pure stillness. Lumi pressed her hands to her heart. "Thank you," she whispered to the sky. "I'll never forget." The fountain answered with a single ripple, then stilled completely. The night felt lighter after that, quieter, but alive. She could sense the peace she had shared lingering in every corner, in the flicker of the remaining candles, in the sigh of the wind, in the rhythm of every dreamer's breath. For the first time since returning, Lumi felt complete. The dream world had not vanished, it was simply resting inside her. She looked to the stars and smiled. "Good night," she whispered, her voice carrying softly across the rooftops. And for just a heartbeat, she thought she heard the owl's reply, a gentle "who," carried from somewhere far beyond the clouds. Lumi's rest. The village slept beneath a blanket of starlight. Every window glowed faintly, every candle burned to a soft golden ember. Even the trees seemed to dream, their leaves barely stirring in the hush of the night. Lumi sat by her window, watching the sky. The feather's glow had faded, but its warmth still lingered in her chest, a soft pulse that matched the rhythm of her breath. She felt no longing now, no searching. The dream world and the waking world had become one within her, both gentle, both infinite. The fountain's light still shimmered faintly behind her eyelids whenever she blinked. Outside, the fountain in the square rippled once, though no wind touched it. Its surface glowed briefly, as if saying goodbye. Lumi smiled. "Good night, my friends," she whispered. "Thank you for teaching me how to rest." She lay down, pulling the blanket up to her chin. The fabric smelled faintly of lavender and rain, soft reminders of the world's quiet kindness. Her eyes grew heavy, her body sinking deeper into the softness of her bed. The night air carried a melody, the same lullaby she'd heard in the meadow of remembered dreams. It floated through the window like a sigh, wrapping around her thoughts until they slowed, softened, and drifted away. Her last waking thought was simple. Peace is everywhere, if you breathe gently enough to feel it. As she exhaled, a faint shimmer glowed in the room, a tiny sparkle of the fountain's light resting on her heart. And then Lumi's breathing deepened. Slow. Steady. Still. Outside, the stars seemed to lean closer, as though watching over her sleep. The world exhaled with her, the same calm rhythm echoing through every dreamer, every creature, every resting soul. Somewhere far beyond the stars, the fountain of the first dream glowed brighter, renewed by her peace, alive once more. And so, the night continued, endless, gentle, filled with light. The story, like a lullaby, found its final note. And Lumi, the keeper of calm, drifted into her deepest, most peaceful dream. ZZZ Sparkles, good night. Sparkles ZZZ.